Let's see if this is doing its thing. Doing its thing. Oh, Darbian's sick. Oh, well, that's unfortunate. The next runner, not the singer, the runner. The next runner is sick. Oh, that's so Superman 64 next. Well, I guess there's still a whole lot of time. No, we won't miss Superman 64 because of my stream. If anything, we'll just keep it going right into it. Sorry, just let me know when you get home. What thing? So, this evening, rather than doing a run, I wanted to talk about sort of GDQ as it's gone so far. What are some of the highlights? What are some of the lowlights? What are and then within that talking about presentation. So I've got a couple things queued up from the last couple days. Unfortunately, they were a little bit harder to track down than, or I shouldn't say track down. They're not as neatly organized as I was hoping it would be. So one of the things that I think is fair to start with. So opening day of GDQ, we had a couple. I felt bad. The opening lineup this month. So Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy. That was a pretty fine. Opener. I only caught the last little bit of it, but it seemed to go pretty well. Ratchet and Clank, I missed. Almost entirely. It was a very, very quick run, and I was busy taking a shower. Splatoon 2 was okay, but started to get into one of the consistent problems that I end up seeing in these runs, and that I've seen in the days since, which is there is definitely a challenge with contextualization. Where it's not just that like what's going on isn't self-evident to the audience, but that the way that runners and commentators go about explaining it is also then not in and of itself as helpful as it sounds. So there's a big challenge. So it comes down basically to jargon, to internal language, the way that people in insular communities will develop their own terminology, their own language, their own references, and then they'll use these because these facilitate, interpersonal communication within a discipline. But then when going outside of that, it's like someone will reference something, and it's like, but I don't know what that word is, and you'll get a common phrase, an all too common phrase, is someone will say, it's like, all right, this next bit's really hard. And then it'll happen, and they'll just leave it at that. That it's like, okay, what made it hard? What made it difficult? What about it is challenging? So I think one of the main weaknesses that we see right now, even from good commentary, is that the commentary hasn't really been planned from an outsider's perspective. And then the next biggest weakness is just a general lack of I don't want to say lack of charisma, a lack of performance skill in the presentation. And this one I really respect sort of the challenge of, because individuals who themselves aren't necessarily super strong in that sort of like, they don't project personality. They might be a very talented runner, but they're not a good presenter. And so for them, it's like, all right, they can't do the commentary themselves, and well, it should be then the couch that takes up slack people who have that sort of social anxiety are also going to have that anxiety when it comes to like, hey, finding someone else and asking them, can you take on uh, can you take on that duty, that responsibility? You know, that like, I mean, already even just myself, I am focusing super hard on building presentation specifically because it like fills me with crippling anxiety to think about like asking someone else to do that. Um, so so yeah, yeah. The oh man, it's doing it again. Like, what is going on? It did this on Monday. I'm wondering if I should just go black mode, just go image, just go something. Just go black so you can't even see it. We'll just go black. Because it should just, we're just in audio only mode. I did bump the, okay, so I bumped, after our experiment, I bumped the settings back down. And like I just put all the settings back down to where they were before. And so like output right now, CBR 3300 bit rate, 2 second keyframe interval. I wonder if that's doing it. It just really doesn't like having a fixed keyframe interval. No, that wouldn't be it. That wouldn't be it. Because that's normal. That's a very not strenuous thing. And then CPU usage is set to very fast. And like my CPU usage, like right now it's telling me it's like 9%. So that's not it. I really do think that this like everything on my computer side is saying it's fine. CPU's at 9%. We're holding steady at 30 FPS. Everything there is okay. The encoding side of it is going fine. It's actually it's just the bit rate. So I'm thinking that this is still very much on Twitch side. Twitch side. Yeah, it's black right now. I cut to black. I cut to black just to see if anything is going to stabilize the output, it's black. It's like the bit rate should not be fluctuating. Like if it's a problem with the encoding, the bit rate should not be like that. Black is going to show us if it's an encoding problem. Or is going to bypass an encoding problem. So if you're having an encoding problem and you go to black and the bit rate is still going all over the place, then it's not a problem. Like then it basically says that the quality changes that I made a couple weeks ago are fine. Where's my offline card? Oh, hey, here we go. We can just sit on this for a bit. Just throw some space puffins up in the void. Here we got this. This'll do. This is at least something. Throwback image. Where was I? So I can definitely understand some anxiety when it comes to like asking people to then do couch commentary. So this is where I think it should actually be on GDQ's side of things. That GDQ should it is in their interest to facilitate matching runners with commentators. And having commentators who are basically available to be, sorry. So they already have a bunch of people who are doing their hosting work. And with that, so like a bunch of volunteers doing hosting work, and most of those hosts are also runners themselves or are also like interviewers and commentators. And I know Bubbles ends up being on the couch a lot, but I suspect Bubbles is ending up being on the couch just because Bubbles is popular and likes to hang out. But I think GDQ needs, like, they need to put a little bit more work into having a stable of people who are there not necessarily because they're good runners, but because they're good commentators. Stream still says Beowulf. Well, you know what? If Stream still says Beowulf, let's screw it. Let's fire up Beowulf while we do. So right now it's principally on runners. So like I've been going through the submission process, and right now it's principally on runners to get their commentators in place. Beowulf. It does seem like the bitrate has stabilized just a little bit. Nope, never mind. I said that, and then it started flying all over the place. So, I mean, we already know that this is going to be a slideshow, so we're not particularly concerned. But hey, it says Beowulf, so we might as well be Beowulf. So because it's principally on the runners to have their commentators, it should it's in GDQ's interest to have a stable of talented commentators who are there to who can pick up on things very quickly, or at least can provide I don't want to say generic commentary, but who can provide engaging commentary sort almost regardless of what the game is. Also, we want to talk about speedrunning, but I did watch Beowulf. I did watch the movie, and oh look, in a completely unsurprising turn, it did send us all the way back to this checkpoint when we quit out. This game is punishing. The movie was so bizarre. It was so bizarre. No, this isn't a Charles T. Sadboy. Actually, I forgot. Okay, I forgot to change the name. I was playing Factorio until 8:59. So I didn't get anything set up. I'll fix it afterwards. Opening the game is probably a bad idea. It will make focusing on chat and conversation hard. So we'll just idle here. We'll just stand here. Now we're not lying. We are playing Beowulf. So having a stable of commentators, because the first big hitch in GDQ this year wound up being during Infamous First Light, when Emerald Alley was doing her run. So there were a couple contributing factors. So first, I've watched a couple of Emerald Alley's streams, like when I checked in on her practice streams before GDQ even came up, because I'm a big fan of Infamous. So I wanted to kind of get a scope of what she was doing with First Light, what kind of how's she going about speedrunning First Light. It was a lot of fun. And so I checked out her stream, and so she does just have a social awkwardness to her, no fault of her own. So that was definitely, so that's kind of the foot that you're starting out on. And then she had a very, very unfortunate glitch, or not glitch, but unexpected turn, extremely early in her run, that just sent the pace, a very unfortunate sort of emotional pace for the rest of the run. It's a bad mindset to try to escape from. It's a hard mindset to escape from when something goes wrong very early on and you can't just reset. So her commentary the content of her commentary was generally okay. Presentation could have been better. Her couch was doing nothing to help her at all. So it wound up being kind of this really low energy, awkward sort of run that didn't really help. So Skyrim one was the Skyrim run was really good. Everybody on the couch and doing the run seemed to be having a lot of fun. They did a pretty decent job of explaining it. Also, it helps, like, they're obviously helped by the fact that Skyrim, so much of it has become mimetic. It's been run many times. It's a very popular game. Like, so a lot of the audience has probably actually played it. So they were able to focus their explanations a little bit more, a little bit better. And they understood a bit of the technology behind what was going on, which is always kind of fun. And then there's other stuff where it's just like, you know, where it is basically just like black magic. And they just had fun with it when it was, when that was going. After that, I had to go to dinner. Didn't catch anything until Arkham Asylum. The Arkham Asylum run was fine. It was fine. Then we get into the late night stuff. Now, late night can be a bit hit and miss. So, like Little Big Planet 2 and Prinny 2 Dawn of Operation Panties Dude. So those two runs on day one were both... there was just something about them. The commentary was there, but it wasn't any fun, if that makes any sense at all. It was really just kind of sitting there. So it was a lot like, you know, the word is questionable. You use the word questionable. So it's kind of like, all right, so now we're going to slide down this, and all right, we got to run across this bog to the other side. Now there's a couple things that we're going to pick up while we're here in the bog. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get on this island. We're going to pick up that rune stone, and now we've got a couple guys over here that we're going to fight these thralls. All right, and then we get to the cliff here. Now, when we get to the cliff, we got to use O. We're going to climb up the cliff. Our Thanes will follow us, and then we're going to take care of these thralls. All right, so they're down. All right, now that everybody's up, we can tell them to start turning the wheel. So they'll get started on that, and a couple thralls are going to attack us from this side while that's going on. So we'll take care of them, and once all right, so that's done. So now that they're out of the way, we're gonna boost our thralls. So we'll have to do this little mini game. So this little rock band style mini game. You can really tell that this game was made in 2007 when that was super popular. So we'll get that, and there we go, 100% on that. And so they'll speed through to the ending super fast, and there we go. All right, now that we're in this room, we've rescued another Thane, and we can grab... Oh, if we're on the wrong side, there we go. Nope, not the rock, and we'll grab the legendary shield if it'll let us. All right, so now that we've got the legendary shield, we're just going to break these rocks, and we'll get this runestone. All right, I think point made. You know, that it is technically a stream of, you know, it's a stream of commentary. It is, you know, contextualizing and explaining what's going on, but it's just kind of a flow, an undifferentiated sort of flow. So that I think is a trap, is one of the other big traps that people end up falling into. Now, yeah, I guess some people have voices like that. It's not a bad thing. It's not always a bad thing. Like, if you've got a game, like, and I would it ends up being so specific and so individual. Like, there is no one way to make a run entertaining. Like, I would love to see someone do just a late night, like, totally mellow run. Like, where it's like, okay, it's a really just, like, chill, mellow kind of zone out and get in the groove kind of run, and get a commentator, like get the runner or the commentator who can just like, it's like, all right, so welcome to late night at GDQ. We're going to be playing what's a good I'm just trying to think of I was trying to think of a good example. I was trying to think of something off the top of my head. I don't know. What's a chill game? What's a really chill game? All right, so welcome to Late Night on GDQ. We're going to be speedrunning the polynomial. So if you want to just sit back and relax a little bit. El Matador, Proteus, like Proteus, the polynomial, something, something really kind of just like, really just chill. Like, I think that would be a good match of like, because it's a good thematic match. And it also kind of is like, well, speed running is also is a little bit inherently unchill, but so something with flow would be, I think, a better match there. Not necessarily something like it's a fast game, but a game with a lot of flow. So one that's really just like where speed running is really just playing at a very high skill level and not doing kind of the crazy stuff. And yeah. So I don't particularly have a problem with GDQ having some of their better, like their more entertaining runs in the middle of the night, specifically because actually Kitsune Lane just mentioned this. It, as a 24-hour thing, like their late night at GDQ isn't necessarily late night everywhere. So it is good that they put some of their better, more entertaining, higher energy runs. Like, it's fine that some of those are at 2 a.m. because, it would actually be pretty lame if all of the if they did just schedule all of the weaker stuff when it's 2 a.m. East Coast, because then that would make it kind of pointless to watch. If it's like, all right, if you're going to tune into GDQ in Europe or Australia, if you're in Australia, don't bother tuning into GDQ because it's going to be 20 minutes of silence with someone doing the run going like, so we're going to go fast on this one. Yeah. Okay. I'm trying to keep up with chat. So that's a concern. That's a thing. Like, scheduling this, blocking all of this out is a huge challenge. I mean, and there are some good. They do take this into account to a certain degree. So like Awful Games Block is super popular, but Awful Games Block is tonight. Like, it doesn't start until 11:40 my time, so it doesn't start until 2 a.m. East Coast. So if you're in somewhere where like the middle of the night East Coast is your evening, then hey, Awful Games, like the Awful Games Block is your prime time. So they do balance that stuff a good little bit. I've got one example that I wanted to take a specific look at, if this will let me. So I'm going to pause, I don't know, I'm going to pause that, and we'll go to main monitor, and we'll just shrink all of this stuff up. And so this was last night. The Blood 2 run was, I think, it was a little bit illustrative of some of these things. So let's.
Looks like Ophelia still won.
Okay.
They tried though.
Didn't get sniped. Thanks for the donations for that. And yeah, 3, 2, 1, go. the donation incentive was to pick which character I was going to play, and basically Caleb was the main character of the Blood series, and he would have basically more. He would have cutscenes and other boss fights, but he is also slower and has a bigger health pool and more ammo. So he's a little bit easier, but a lot slower. So you guys picked the fast character, which is nice. Thanks for that. And yeah, so this game is on Lithtech engine, which is same engine as Shogo, Mobile Armored Division, and No One Lives Forever. And this is one of the first instances where they actually use that engine. And so it's really glitchy and not really in any good ways. So this game does not run well on modern PCs at all. So it's kind of amazing that it's actually running right now. But yeah, so right here I'm just getting some extra health for an upcoming skip. And yeah. Right here I just got pretty much invincibility. And I killed that guy for his extra gun, and these two Uzis basically are the highest DPS weapon. Right there I just did a big skip, which you can only do if you have enough health and armor. Those lasers are supposed to kill you instantly, but if you have...
It's like this for pretty much the entire time. So that, yeah. So there we've got a good example of like the person delivering the commentary. So one of the complaints I'm going to have there is on the technical side. Like this is something that GDQ easily could have fixed, is that the volume mix between the runner and the game was off. The dude was super quiet. Just like low talker, mumbly like the whole time. And so that would then be on the sound mixer, that it's like, all right, you're gonna have to boost him to get him separated from the game audio, because the thing is that the game audio in a lot of these, like, it really doesn't matter all that much from an audience perspective. It's largely there to provide texture. I mean, the vast majority of the time, like, just kind of out of the nature of speedrunning, is you don't get to hear most of the audio. A lot of the audio you do hear ends up being like very repetitive, or like everything's getting cut off, everything's overlapping. There's like, for the vast majority of the runs, it just doesn't matter. It just does not matter. And yeah, so that's definitely kind of an issue. So the sound mix on GDQ's part of it. Second, no one on the couch was providing like any support at all. Now, maybe they didn't want to, because the dude was talking. He was talking more or less nonstop, but it was just very, very quiet. Now, there is one moment in there that I'm gonna try to find here. It's before that I thought was a good moment.
Yeah, it's a really good speed run also.
Here, I'll just mute him for a bit and talk while it goes through to that. Unfortunately, I couldn't find. They don't have the isolated. Runs yet, so I'm trying to find it in the middle of a like 14-hour past broadcast right now. As far as those Beowulf tabs, the ones that you're looking at, most of those tabs are actually looking up different adaptations of Beowulf, largely because I was trying to remember the specifics about both the 2007 Beowulf movie and also what I was just on stream calling that other Beowulf movie, which is called Beowulf and Grendel. Also, the animated Beowulf film, Grendel, 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 which I used to be like super hype on. Beowulf was a story, or like I had a storybook version of Beowulf that I read a lot as a kid. And so once when YTV was playing Grendel, 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 I was like super excited for it. And then it turned, because it's like, oh man, animated Beowulf. And then it turns out it is actually a like intensely boring movie. Very, very much not sort of like for kids. Not that like there's not really anything inappropriate in it. It's just, it's to my memory, it's basically just an hour and a half of like moral pontification. Yeah, yeah. Oh, Reddit VOD thread. Oh, okay. People are pulling them individually. Oh, there we go. This will make it a little bit easier. All right, so I'm looking for. We gotta go. Wait. Oh, this has a bunch of stuff that. Oh, this has everything. This has everything already blocked out. Okay. So if I go. What was there? Oh wait. Oh no, this just has the time codes. This just takes you to the. Okay, so that doesn't actually like bypass the thing. All right, then the signal died. All right, I'll just keep talking. They had a game crash. Also, there was this great dude where here, let me go. Wearing this rainbow hoodie. It was a rad hoodie. Awful Block starts right after Sunshine because other runner is sick. Well, don't they still have? Oh wait, the Superman 64 run, or no, Superman 64 is the start of Awful Block because reasons, right? We've got until the end of End of Blood. If I can find this moment. Yeah, I'll just explain it. The Princess Game runner is sick. Okay, I'll just explain it verbally. Let's hit resume on this just for like kicks and giggles. We're standing around with all our thanes being rad. So there was a moment. There was a moment in the Blood 2 run that I really liked where he came up to. So it was funny because I was actually thinking of similar sort of presentational quirks yesterday morning in the shower. I was like mentally like planning like, okay, what are some of the kinds of things you could do to sort of engage with it on a presentational level. And part of it was like, oh, just get a little bit more like audience participation, or if you've got a glitch that's like so easy to pull off that you could just build an entire joke around that glitch. And so there's a moment in the Blood 2 run where he's got a glitch through a fence, and so he calls somebody up to it. It was really hard. It was unfortunate that he was so mumbly because it was a really good joke. It was just very poorly delivered, where he got somebody else to come up, and he basically just like pressed against the fence and is just like, all right, it's like, okay, I'm gonna need you to do this because it's super difficult. Okay, so push forward and now hit jump a whole bunch of times, and it's so easy to pull off that it's just like, all right, forward and hit jump a bunch of times, and you slip right through the you just clip right through the fence. So it was a great gag in concept. It just wasn't executed necessarily all of that well. So that was kind of unfortunate, but it does show at least an awareness of that dimension of presentation. Now, one of the other sort of complex challenges when it comes to this, and I was watching one of the runners, so the guy who ran Silent Hill, He, in an interview, he did talk about how he puts a lot of work into his commentary, or spends a lot of time thinking about his commentary and basically like pre-planning it. So this is something that, like, I am not the first person to think of this. It would be arrogant to assume otherwise. What the? I have no idea what you guys were doing. Whatever. Silent Hill Beowulf. Silent Beowulf. We're just gonna stand in a bog. Everybody's gonna get trench foot. Where was I? Thinking about planning it beforehand. But now, one of the things that a few people have mentioned when they've been talking about presentation in interviews, you kind of always get that caveat that it's like, okay, well, that's my opinion. So someone will say that it's like, oh, I spend a lot of time working on my commentary because I really think that like that's ultimately what makes a run in a GDQ environment is good commentary. But that's my opinion. And my initial sort of response on that is like, my knee jerk is to be like, no, man, you're right. That's not just your opinion. You're right. They're wrong. Stand by it. And it's like, okay, well, maybe not. Maybe not. But yes, it is. So individual runners may not see a need for may not see their commentary as a priority, even if it does need to be on a show level a priority. But there does need to be sort of this acknowledgement, I think, on my part when talking about this, that it's like, okay, why do people engage with speedrunning? What is it about it? Why are they there? And that for a lot of people, like, they are getting into speedrunning, or they are engaging with it largely on a competitive level or a pseudo-competitive level, like that it is about setting times. It is about going faster than either your like others, obviously, as in like races and competitions and implicit competition, or even just like personal best competition, but that they are thinking about it more as that. Okay, that was super weird. I love how glitchy this game is. Oh man. All right, we're just gonna. All right, everybody, up and down the cliffs. Have some fun up and down the cliffs. That they are approaching it largely as sport. That they're approaching it principally as sport or pseudo sport more than they are a performance art. And I think that does need to be acknowledged. And that's where, to bring this back around, that's where professional commentary, focused commentary, like making sure that those people who can provide commentary are available, would be a critical thing, because GDQ is reaching well outside normal speedrunning audiences, and so it does need to have an eye towards that. And yeah. So I don't know. Maybe I am. Maybe I am just talking out of my ass. Maybe I am just like. Maybe I'm the arrogant one. I probably am. Am I lobbying for an announcer spot? I don't know. Maybe. So speedrunning games is less like a performance piece and more like a really well executed football play. So that's that's an interesting sort of way of looking at it, and that's sort of the challenge here. So if if it really is on the whole being treated as a sport. If we're going to use sport as sort of our reference point, then sport really should be our reference point. So we don't expect in sport that the players are going to deliver good commentary on the game as it's happening. Maybe it happens sometimes. I don't know, not really ever. But if it did happen, it would be considered unique. Whereas, like in sport, you rely very heavily on trained commentators who are going to do all of the running commentary. And we already see this with shoutcasters in other games as sport areas. So, that kind of has already been acknowledged. Now with speedrunning, the challenge there, the huge challenge in speedrunning is that everything is so individualized. There, if you know good football, then and you're a good commentator for football, you can commentate on any football game because they're all the same. They're all starting from a common starting point. But GDQ has, oh geez, how many things are on this schedule? Like, I don't know, what is this? 100 games? 100 individual games? More? Less? A little bit around that? I don't even know. I can't count this. It would take me a while. It wouldn't take me forever. It would take a while to actually count this. But there's a ton of things, and a lot of them are so hyper specific that yeah. Now I have an image of a soccer player with a GoPro strapped to their head, streaming the game and making commentary as they go. That would in fact be hilarious, and I'm pretty sure people would be, tuning in for that. Smickle says speedrunning in isolation is all sport. In marathon, it's entertainment. Yeah. And we were talking about this in chat last night where one of the challenges, Super Metroid has come up a lot. Now, as I mentioned back when I started Speedrunning Learning Curve, is that Super Metroid was actually sort of the inception point of all of this for me. At SGDQ last year, it was just a really, really bad Super Metroid run, which, a bad Super Metroid run is not a problem strictly, but the fact that Super Metroid so often occupies this marquee spot, that it is either the headliner or the second to headliner. I mean, it was the headline run for multiple GDQ events in a row, for a lot of GDQ events in a row. So if you're going to be putting something in a marquee spot, if it's going to be the opener or the closer, it needs to live up, it really needs to live up to entertainment more than it needs to live up to the bar as sport. That's a programming thing that it's okay, if it's going to be a very, this was actually another great example of a bad turn was a year ago at AGDQ. There was a Trials Fusion run that was in a primetime block, and so it was a primetime block North America, but so it was at a viewer peak block. It was what GDQ would all intents and purposes consider to be their primetime block, and it was this 2-hour run with no commentary whatsoever. It was 5 dudes sitting around saying nothing for a very long time. And this was then compounded by the fact that Trials Fusion is a game that it is a very, very difficult game, a very challenging game, but it's one of incredibly small, incredibly precise movements. So it's not self-evident what exactly is going on when you're just watching it. When you're just watching it, it doesn't look like anything is happening. And it still feels like it's moving very, very slowly as a result of that. So so that's a huge, like, that was a big scheduling error to put something like have that long of a presentation in that prominent of a time slot. So yeah, yeah, it was a really bad trials. It was a really bad block. It was not entertaining at all. And what else did I have? What else did I have queued up as? What else did I have queued up? There was a great moment. There was a great block earlier today. A great show earlier today, and I really hope that they go and they do more of this type of stuff. So this morning, or I guess it was early afternoon if you're in North America. Sorry if all of the times are relative to me. Like they're going to be relative to me. If I say morning, I mean my morning. If I say afternoon, I mean my afternoon. It was the Strider, the Strider live speedrunning tutorial. So it was about 45 minutes where a runner taught someone else how to speed run Strider, and it was super interesting. It was really good. It was really good. It was really interesting. It was a lot of fun to watch because it turns out that the Strider speed run is itself very, very short. So it was a good sample. So in like a half an hour, you can teach someone how to do the Strider speed run, and then they can get a sub 10-minute speed themselves after that. So I think the guy's run wound up being like a little over 8 minutes or something like that. And it wound up being really good, and it was really entertaining. And I would like to see them branch out a little bit more with more stuff that is not speed runs themselves, but things speed run adjacent. All right. Well, if I close it, then all right. If I open Amy, if I quit game and I open Amy, then I'm gonna have to go back and get that shield again for like the fifth time. I'm gonna need to go back and get that legendary shield, assuming we ever actually like finish this game. We are never leaving that bog. We have never left the bog. So a big challenge. So I'm putting a lot of work into actually like writing my Amy presentation. Yeah. So the current plan, actually, now that I've got Amy open, this will be let's talk about this for a bit. Let's talk about Amy for a bit. I have always been in the bog. I will never leave the bog, and it's great that we opened Amy because Amy is itself also a bog. So what is Amy about? Like, this is actually one of the challenges in writing it. So I drafted sort of a bullet point script a month and a half ago after like the first couple weeks. Like, back when we were in a point here, let me switch over to like the Amy speedrun. So back when we were in like, it was like week 3, when I hit an hour 10, And I was like, okay, wow, we've cut off so much time. Like, yeah, maybe we'll get this run down to an hour. So at an hour 10, when we were at 70 minutes, I wrote out a bullet point. Sort of script of like how, it's like, here's all of the points that I want to hit while we're busy running through the game. And then we carved off another 25 minutes. And so now, like, the run's 48 minutes long. The run's 50 minutes long, less than 50 minutes, like consistently less than 50 minutes. And even though it's 50 minutes, like, even though that's a decent amount of time, it's still less time than all of the points that I've wanted to hit. So I'm having to go through into much more granular sort of scripting with this than I had initially intended, and I've got to, because now I've got more points than I know what to do with. Charles C. Sadboy's Bog of Disappointments. I really wish that if you updated stream information midstream, it would like properly stick in the. Bog of Disappointments game category. Amy. Yeah, let's update that information. How sequence breakable is the game? Decently. So right now, here's kind of what the script looks like at the moment. So chapter one is very straightforward. Like it's the part of the game where there are no sequence breaks in chapter one. So you basically just have to go through chapter one as intended. Just do it quickly. So it's a good time to like talk about like the development of Amy, kind of contextualize the game as a whole. Where did it come from? What is it? It sucks. It's, yeah. So chapter one, so this gives us about 9 minutes, 10 minutes, a little over 10 minutes really to talk about the game and to contextualize the game. Chapter 2 is when we start getting into wacky stuff. It has a couple good sequence breaks in it. It has a whole lot of checkpoint abuse, which is actually where a bunch of our sequence breaking comes in. And so chapter 2 is when going to talk about the bugs. Like it's going to be just like, okay, here's all of the glitches and the exploits and the kinds of sequence breaking that we're going to be doing. Then you get into chapter 3. Chapter 3 doesn't have any sequence breaking until the like last half. It's another long chapter. It's about 10 minutes long. So this is where I'm going to fit in more of these sort of critical context for the game. So that's where I want to talk about the like character representation and a bunch of other stuff. Chapter 4 is super short, has a lot of glitches, a lot of breaks, and it has probably, if you pull them off, it is kind of the most impressive from a traditional speedrunning point of view. So chapter 4 would be just a like straight up play-by-play. Also, like there really isn't any time for anything else. Like by the time you've finished explaining the first jump, you're already moving on to the second, and then you're on the third, and then the level's over. And yeah, so yeah, so that's chapter 4. Then chapter 5, right now, chapter 5 and 6 also go by pretty quickly. So chapter 5, I want to start. I'm back and forth on this. So I do want to build a couple really good gags into the presentation as a whole. So chapter 5 has a good one, but unfortunately it's one that really only shows off if you're familiar with the game already. So it takes a lot of time to sort of explain it. So as kind of a just like general example of what we're talking about here. All right, so we've got all of the long loading times. Loading times would be where you would work in like time for the is where you would work in time for like donations and announcers and all of that. And then, oh man, I hate these loads are always way longer than they think, so just assume that they're going to be. All right, so moving on to chapter 5 here. So the original script that I was kind of building for this, or that I had started working into this, really did focus on. All right, and that guy should turn around right as I get here. Really was focusing on this big long gag for the fact that the like start of the level that we skip so much, but the problem is that it doesn't look like you skip anything at all, really, because it's like we leave Amy back at the beginning of the level, and then there's all of this other stuff that you're supposed to be doing, but you don't see any of that. Like, it's not self-evident that like there's other stuff that you need to be doing. It's not self-evident that like, okay, there's a whole, like, okay, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like there's 5 puzzles here that we're just walking right past. So I think from a presentation standpoint, like actually I'm almost thinking like, even though it does technically slow you down, swinging the camera over and looking off to the left there, really to highlight that like, okay, there's a whole bunch of stuff that we're supposed to be doing, and we're supposed to be like using these cars to lure these zombies away, and we're just not gonna do any of it. But then getting the timing down. This gag worked so much better back when... This gag worked really, really, really well back when this was the main reload exploit in the game, because then it was like, oh, hi, Amy. But at this point, in the run as it exists now, by the time we get here, we've already seen... We've already seen a couple Amy teleports in Chapter 2, and we've seen a big Amy teleport in Chapter 4. So this one, this huge Amy teleport here, is not really special anymore. So... No, Amy can't get... Wait, can Amy get electrocuted? I don't think so. I can die. I can instantly die if I touch that. So the main indication left in the run of the whole like Amy's autistic thing, or Amy is pseudo-autistic, largely it comes from extra textual stuff, like the developers outright saying like, oh yeah, that's really kind of what we were going for. And the bit at the in Chapter 1 where Lana tells what's his name tells Marcello that Amy is non-verbal. Oh man, I'm not practiced getting through those doors. I wonder... It would likely be intellectually dishonest to not try the best to go as fast as possible within marathon safety. So I think Oh wait, we need to switch hands. No, come on, Amy. There we go. No. No, come on. All right, here's something I need. All right, here's something that I need to practice. All right, so let's just go back to checkpoint. We need to figure out. I got to practice doors, and I got to practice getting Amy into the correct hand. All right, so if you turn like that, that gets her into the correct hand, which in this case is the right hand. Because if you got her in the left, you can't actually go down that. You can't actually go down that ladder. And then we lose her, and then we just need to make sure that we... That's actually one of the things that I've learned about like doing the run in general, is that a lot of times that it's like, okay, so if you've got Amy in a position, in certain positions, you actually want to turn like all the way around the opposite direction just so that you don't immediately lose her on a wall or a door or something. Ooh. I just gotta see where she... she didn't... She basically kept... That was actually very weird. Oh, it didn't... It's really hard to get good Amy launches. They happen... They basically just happen at random. Also, just the way that Lana turns as well. Like, so she has a turning radius, which is very deliberate on the part of the developers. So you got to turn very carefully. No. See, like that. So I should have turned the other direction. So what ends up happening, this is actually really weird, is that when you've got Amy, depending... Okay, so if you've got Amy and you turn towards her, you end up pivoting around her. But if you turn the other direction, she swings super fast. Which is why you end up losing her on walls a lot when you're going in certain directions. I gotta figure out... No, come on. Oh, that was good. We didn't even lose Amy. Oh, but then we lost her on the door. No, come on. All right, I think doing the hand switch out in the hall is the most consistent. Also, Amy, why did you... She'll just go and grab the hand that's currently inside a wall. I wonder what happens if you don't pick that up. I'm pretty sure you just start chapter... Wait. Did I just clip through... No. I don't know what you would even do with a geometry skip there, even if you could. Actually, well, maybe you could just walk around to the, like, the trigger. Maybe. Maybe. I wonder if I can just get it. Oh, man. Okay. Okay, you can get it. I did start to clip out of bounds, but it was like purely random. Oh, hey. Oh. I think it was probably just... Okay. And then she switched to my right hand. All right, so looking at this, if Amy's in the left hand, this is a very, very weird, weird motion to get this to work. So basically, what I got to do is go, like, get Amy past that post. And then, yeah, see, it can't... Well, now she's in the right hand, and I would be able to do it, no problem. All right, Amy, I want you in my left hand. For all the wrong, for just... Yeah, so, okay, so if you've got Amy in your right hand, this is super easy because Lana just goes over first and pulls Amy behind her. If Amy is in your left hand, you can still do it, but you got to come at more of an angle like this, and you got to be doing it fast enough that Amy is in her, like, dragging behind you position. Or maybe can... Yeah, no, the ladder and the railing block here. Also, I'm now realizing, now that I've just done it, and I hadn't tried anything with it before, we're not even clipping through anything. There just isn't a barrier. Also, I think I'm standing on top of Amy right now. Yeah, I totally was. I was just standing on top of her. So yeah, we're not even clipping through anything. There's just no collision at this corner. So you can just walk right off of it, and you can drag Amy right behind you. All right. That's kind of beautiful. Hey Harry, how's it going? H-bomb. All right, so let's try left hand again. Okay, so if we walk out that door, and then we just need to... Nope. But now I've got her in the right hand, and it's super easy. There we go. Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure even if I miss it once, I think I can probably actually miss it like twice before it's slower. Specifically because Lana can just go right back up the elevator almost, or right back up the ladder almost instantly. It's there we go. Yeah, that's still, so there's kind of an ideal failure, and that's still a good bit faster than the than actually doing the elevator. Hmm. So here's something. This is actually crap. What I would like to see GDQ do. So this would be, I think, a cool block. Would be a kind of planned. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, oh, I was super worried there. Had we discovered some new Amy behavioral glitch? Or just the same old glitches? I just know that in an actual marathon, I would just face plant her, like I would lose Amy on literally every doorway. It's how it would go. Tell me if you think this would be interesting. So you can submit multiple things. So I'm wondering. I no, I wouldn't be. They wouldn't take me. They wouldn't take me for that. But I think they should do at some point. At some point. Ah, drats. That's getting really inconsistent. It would be really cool if somebody did put together a really entertaining block on the like boring parts of speedrunning. So things like this, basically demonstrating that it's like, okay, so this is how we're actually going to go about figuring stuff out. This is how we're going to go like bug hunting. This is how we're going to like optimize. This is how we're going to figure these runs out. Like, so what is involved in actually like routing a run? What is involved in glitch hunting? And I actually missed the crowbar. So I'm just going to finish the level now. And I'm going to see if we've actually even got a crowbar in chapter 6. I bet we do. I mean, I would be amazed if we didn't, because, you know, this game being what it is, and the fact that like all of your stuff like resets, you know, the fact that we can use all of our weird chapter reloads in order to just give ourselves key cards. I would be amazed if we didn't just get a crowbar at the start of chapter 6. Also, yeah, chapter 6 would be literally impossible without it. And I didn't call her away, so I might get jumped by the... Oh, no. Oh, hey. There's spooky music here. I am being chased by guys. Okay, because I didn't push. I didn't call Amy away, so we did get one dude, one Jared came for us. $25 minutes left on the estimate. Okay. Yeah, the game loads you in based on what thinks you have, what you should have, but you never know. Like every now and then, actually, existing save saves minutes. Yeah, it used to be when we first started doing existing save, it was only saving us a little bit of time, but it was saving us like it was basically saving us just a little bit of convenience, because at the time we actually only had the one checkpoint save skip. So it was like you would get to the end of chapter 5, and then you would kill the zombie, and then you would just wait for the checkpoint to finish saving, and then you would reload. But now that we've got so many checkpoint skips in, it and a few of them actually, like a bunch of chapter 2, are actually just straight up impossible if you don't. So also, oh yeah. I need to check. Yeah, we've got a crowbar. So here, let me. I don't want to do. I don't want to fight Willem right now. So in chapter 2, when you get to the halfway point, like the one where you run into the booth and like push the guard, hit the thing, and like hit the DNA lock, and then quickly checks it, like quickly reload last checkpoint. That is impossible. You can't do that on a new game, because on a new game, like weirdly on a new save, checkpoints take the full time that the logo is up. It takes them that entire time to actually save the checkpoint. So you can't reload. Like if you reload checkpoint before it goes away, you actually end up at your previous one. And that's what happened to me once on chapter 4 when I was doing back in like week 3.5. Yeah, I think the first run that I did in like week 3, or that Saturday week 3.5 run, things went just completely haywire on chapter 4. And some of the weirdness came from the fact that I had, for the first time, actually been running on a existing save instead of an old save, because one of my early chapter 4 skips relied on the fact that doing checkpoint skips on a new game puts things in certain places, and then they end up in different places if you're yeah. Yeah. So by switching to playing on, air quote new game plus, it actually enabled a bunch of it enabled a bunch of stuff that was otherwise impossible. Because for whatever reason, on an existing save game, checkpoints save nigh instantaneously. And yeah. Where are... No, there's no... So, Earthman Dave's asking, there's no weird GDQ rule about having to do a fresh run then. No, so when you submit to GDQ, you submit the run, and so the rules of the run are dependent on basically whatever the community has determined the rules are. So that includes things like, are we using in-game timer, or are we using real-time timer? So a lot of PC games will use in-game timer specifically because otherwise you're giving an edge to people who have faster computers and can cut down load times. Basically, it means it's like, oh well, like you need to have a hardware advantage if you really want to take that world record, world record spot. So, yeah. So because of that, like because there's basically the community rules, whatever the community has agreed are the rules for the category, you submit a run in a category, and the submitted example needs to be a run that is in that category, and then you run that category. So, yeah. Grab all pickups in the game for 100. Oh man. Oh yeah, there are collectibles. Actually, this is the wild thing: is aren't all the collectibles in Chapter 2 anyway? Or like a couple things in Chapter 1. Most of them are in Chapter 2. I don't remember on my casual play finding like anything outside of Chapter 2, or maybe there's like one in Chapter 3. No, neither of us wants to do that. There's one in Chapter 1. There's the few in Chapter 2. You can pick up Amy's doll out of the train. So it would. The funny thing is that 100%. There's nothing anywhere else. Yeah, that's all in Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. So literally the only difference is. So it would be, you'd still get scared there. You'd pick up this. You'd go. You'd get this one. What else is there? There's the letter. Oh wait, is that a? Oh, that was just a syringe. There's just a random decontamination syringe there. Hey, remember when I was doing my casual run? The vending machine is sold out. Remember when I was doing my casual run and we wound up like glitching out the ogre like super weird? That was great. Good times. Good times. What even is over here? I haven't even looked at like... It's Amy's lamp. Play hard. Oh man. I don't want to play hard. What the... Come on. Oh, I don't need Amy. I just need to not be in range of the ogre. Alright, ogre's around the corner. I'm trying to remember if I checked this at all. Alright. Okay, so if we... I'm trying to remember if... I think there's a collectible in this room. Darth... Why does that ogre, like, exist in the context of this story? I don't know. Also, yeah. Oh, yeah, a bunch of the stuff. Right. So in the original script that I had done, there was a bunch of stuff that I wanted to point out. Like, okay, there's a break... Like, this wall here is clearly... Oh, yeah, clearly uses Amy's... breaking power, which we don't get in this level at all, unless you know what, I've never used this one. Wait, what? To indicate the psionic wards? What? What the hell? What the ever-loving trash. Oh god, this game. Because this should give us the silence. Yeah. Because the whole idea, so what you're supposed to do, what you're then supposed to do is we get in here and you're then, by intent, supposed to be like, oh, okay, well, if we break the glass... I forgot how to use the silence ability. Also, I also forgot that all of Amy's abilities, like, originate from her her middle point. So it silences the glass, and then I lost Amy on a crate or something because the game lags and it sucks. Man, that guy takes a lot of hits. Alright, so you got... Yeah, then there's another... Numerous people near the crash site are thought to have become ill, showing symptoms of irrepressible convulsions, altered judgment, and in many cases, violent behavior. That's in a newspaper. That's in a newspaper. We crashed, like, an hour ago. The damning thing about the hallway with the guard is you can actually legitimately stealth past the guard and get the orange key card. Oh yeah, I was so close. I was so close to getting it in my casual playthrough. Oh right, that's not actually the cutscene. That's memories of dear old. The psionic wards. Oh, God. Oh, God. It's oh, frick. I didn't think this game had any more surprises for me. I was wrong. Alright. Oh, wait. I guess if we actually just push the guard... Or wait, no, now he's aggroed on us and he'll just shoot us. Sunshine update, 10 weeks. Cool. I guess we'd actually need to run past him in both directions, because we'd need to put Amy into the Amy hole. Actually, where even is he now? I wonder. Oh, there he is. Frick, I love this game. It's so bad. It's so trash. Alright, is he gonna, like, insta-kill us? Yeah. Sunshine is Bowser. Alright, Sunshine just finished, so Bad Game Block's gonna start in, like, about 10 minutes. So that right there was a perfect ending to this quick little discussion. I'm really excited for sort of continuing to develop this. If you thank you everybody for joining me on Speedrun Learning Curve on this trip through a subculture that I don't know at all. Wait, you can get the orange key card without Amy at all. Wait, how do you? No, wait. I remember. Sort of. I have vague memories of how you get the orange key card without Amy. But yeah. So yeah. Everybody, stick around for Awful Block. I'm going to be in chat watching Awful Block. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's the kind of stuff that I live for. I've really been enjoying, like, speedrunning is not a community that I actually have any real ins to. I don't know or any of the other speedrunners really. So yeah, it's just it's been a lot of fun, and it's been interesting, and it'll be interesting to see if we can in fact get our little awful community also into the bigger community, and then I would actually get to, like, meet and know some of these people, and it'd be cool and fun. And yeah, so I'm gonna hit stop now, and we'll watch the setup block, and then Awful Games block. It's gonna be fun. Yeah. Thanks everybody. Take care. See you in chat.